Welcome to the Astro Forecast for the week of April 24th to the 30th. We are rounding out the month of April, and let me tell you, it's a time. Now, this week only has two aspects in play, actual or exact aspects in the astrology, but we are kind of in this interesting time of shifts, right? We have a Mercury retrograde that is still happening. Mercury's going slower than the Earth. We are meant to revise, review, reassess the things that kind of bring us structure, bring us security and safety in our life, money, our property, things that are tangible, food, resources, things like that. That's Taurus. So Mercury is moving through a retrograde at this time, moving slower than the Earth. And we're meant to sort of look at our values. What are the things that we value now? So that's going to be in play this whole week, right? So don't forget that. And not a great time to make big plans or execute on things because we're meant to be revising. We're meant to be going within right now, not going out of ourselves. So if you're in launch mode or you're trying to get something done, you might find that you have a lot of roadblocks, a lot of things that you have to review, reassess, and realign with, right? Such is the cosmos right now. So if you're flowing with the energy, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I just had a client call where she's trying to implement some new technology and she's like, it is so frustrating. I'm like, it's Mercury, man. Might not be a great time to be doing that. She's like, oh God, okay. And it's almost like you give yourself permission to just slow down, right? That's what Mercury does. That's why I actually really kind of look forward to Mercury retrogrades, even though I'm a Virgo and it's my ruling planet and it drives me a little crazy. It's like, oh, there's a reason why this isn't working right now. Let's just take a break. Let's come back and look at this again. And I know that it's a time of really going within and kind of going, okay, how do I want to do this differently? How do I want to do this better? What's some opportunities to learn some lessons and flip this on its head in a new way? And why we're flipping it on its head and looking at it in a new way is because Uranus, the planet of chaos and looking at things in a different way, is moving with Mercury. So we are kind of being prompted to see things in a new light, to think outside the box, right? And this is where genius lives. So we start off this week, Monday, April 24th, on a first quarter phase, right? We just came off that new moon eclipse in Aries. So we're in eclipse season right now. We're sandwiched between eclipses. There's going to be a potent eclipse next week in Scorpio. So we are in this incubation period right now. What's evolving, right? Aries, we just came from that Aries new moon. So what are we evolving to kind of claim as ours? What's our power, our leadership, our special sauce? What's that kind of thing that's uniquely ours that we want to shine out into the world? Aries is a leader. It's kind of the spark of life. It's kind of making its way into the world. A little bit haphazardly, but because we are being driven by passion and purpose, not by our brain, right? I mean, more so the fire of our soul. Yes, brain, Aries are smart too. But it's this passion and fire to move forward. So that's going to be in play this whole week as well. So we come into Monday is a little bit, I'm going to say an intuitive day, a sensitive day, and especially later in the day around 1 o'clock Mountain Standard or whatever, just kind of afternoon. Let's go that way. Or regardless of where you're watching this, the moon will go into Cancer. So it's going to be a very intuitive, very sensitive moon. And then that's going to carry us into Tuesday, where now the sun is sextile to Saturn. So this is first of two major aspects happening this week. So sun sextiles Saturn. Sun is our vitality, the way we feel about ourselves, our individuality. And the sextile is a harmonious 60 degrees. So they work really well together. And Saturn is about our responsibility, our duty. What did we come here to do? Self-mastery, father time is Saturn. And Saturn is in Pisces, right? Just moved into Pisces and is in this Pisces water of spirituality. And are we being responsible for our spiritual gifts and talents? Are we being, we're sort of seeing these leaders of these spiritual and religious institutions being held to account, right? Which is interesting with Saturn moving into this. Now, Saturn in Pisces here is helping us to really bring some structure to those inner urges, that this being responsible for ourselves and for our creativity, our compassion, being responsible to each other in a way that we now are really truly using our resources wisely. So Sun is in Taurus, resources. Saturn is about using those resources wisely. So this is an excellent time to meet your goals. Now, remember, Mercury's retrograde. So you might be able to see your goals in a new way, or maybe think of this ingenious way of doing things that you maybe didn't think of before. You're feeling very responsible, take care of serious business, patience and perseverance. Great. Don't we need that with Mercury retrograde? Practical results. This is a great time to ask for advice from trusted leaders or people you respect. Right. So Saturn represents mentors, elders, old school wisdom that's handed down through the line. So that wisdom is accessible to you now. So this is a good time. If you're facing a problem, Mercury retrograde, you're looking at things and you're going to be like, I'm tired of you here saying that. I know. And I'm going to continue to say it because it's a gift. It's a gift. So when we use this aspect, where can we look to see people who are doing what we want to do? And where can we learn from them and bring that into our own life to create more value? So let's say you're an entrepreneur watching this. Who is a mentor or someone out in the world that's doing what you want? And how can you then ask them, or maybe join a group or a coaching group, or learn something that then will help you create structure in your life, Saturn, to then create more money, Taurus, in your life, more things for you that you feel good about yourself. Not to say that money makes you feel good. It might be related to that, but more so intrinsically feel good, and using your resources wisely to do that. A great time for professional, professions, going ahead in your professional life, in your working life. This is really good, a good day to use this energy. But Saturn can be a little restrictive. So it's like, are you doing your responsibilities? Are you paying attention? This might be also elders kind of saying to you, are you using your resources wisely? Maybe someone's trying to give you advice. Are you open to hearing it, or are you triggered by it? Think about that, right? Can you accept the blessings coming into your life? Or if you don't see them as blessings, then they will bounce off you, right? Or they might even trigger you and go the other way. So the rest of the week, pretty good. Wednesday, looking like a pretty fine day to have some fun. A Thursday is a little bit intense with moon opposite to Pluto. So we might feel some intense feelings on that day, very, very sensitive. Friday is as well, some anxiety and maybe some head versus heart, kind of energy coming in on Friday. Of course, this is all just what's in the sky. It really depends on what's in your chart as well, and how this is interacting with your chart. So this is very vague, because there's no real kind of concrete aspects between planets. This is more sort of the moon. And the moon moves through each sign every 2.5 days. So it's very quick around the zodiac, about 29, depending on where you're counting it, 28.5 to 29.5 days. It moves around the zodiac. So moon things are very fast, like an hour, 2 hours tops. So you might just kind of see these things kind of come up for you. And then Saturday is the next major aspect. And we have Mars sextile to Uranus. So again, sextile is a good aspect to have, harmonious. And then Mars now is in Cancer. So Cancer is very like, it wants to do things that feels good. It has to feel like it's safe and that we're all getting along, and it's very nurturing, and we're creating homes for each other. It's a great connection energy, great for staying at home as well, which we've done a lot of staying at home, but it's about safety, right? Creating safety and security for yourself. And the sextile to Uranus is like, F this. Let's go do something fun. Let's be exciting. Let's be the word I was going to use is unstable, but more so this like, let's go have fun. So this is a great day to go have some fun. All right. Saturday would be a wonderful time to go for brunch, go hang outside, go do a cool hike. Mercury's retrograde, so just take care. Doing things differently, a shake up in your routine. So if you have a very structured day on Saturday, it's not going to go so well. It's a time to like really allow more of the flow of fun things to come into your life. And if you're being presented with an opportunity to go somewhere or do something, hopefully you have the energy to I'm going to say the space in your day to say yes. So inspiration, motivation, impulsive energy, experiment with new ways of doing things, freedom, self-expression, and ordinarily it would be a time to take some like good risks, but with Mercury retrograde, I would say it's not a time to take great risks. So if you want to take a calculated risk, but this day is going to make you feel risky. So I'm just going to say, take some practical grounded, steps to make sure that what you're doing does feel in alignment for you. because this energy is a little bit excitable, and you might feel like, oh my gosh, I can do anything. And then, things don't really work out that great. So just being, taking care. But it's a good day for buoyant feelings. Well, it's not really feelings. Mars is in Cancer, but Mars is our egoic will. So this is a day that you really want to maybe get together with your sisterhood, or people in your circle, and do something super fun together. And, Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is about food. And so maybe going to try a new restaurant, that'd be really good. You can tell I love food. All right. And then Sunday, April 30th, there's a moon is opposite Saturn, again, just for a short period of time. All other aspects look really good. So there might be just this feeling of like, I don't want to do anything really responsible today and just want to chill. That is that. So as I sort of mentioned, we are in between eclipses. That's the week, right? That's the week. It's a good week. These two aspects are really positive and wonderful. And if you use them for your highest and best, you can have a great week, right? And if you're like, oh, these blessings, they're not blessings. People are just trying to give me advice all the time. You're gonna miss the blessings, right? So look for the blessings this week. Now, a couple things to note. So next week we have a full moon eclipse in Scorpio. It's going to be a deep one. So this week is going to be a little lighter because the moon is gaining in light. So there's more kind of momentum to kind of get things completed, to get kind of tape off some things. And then we also have Pluto retrograde next week, actually on the 1st, so on Monday. But because Pluto is such a slow planet, he's been sitting at the 0-degree mark of Aquarius since March 23rd. So for a long time, right? He doesn't go very fast. And it's kind of been like this dip into Aquarius, and then he's going to retrograde and dip back out into Capricorn. So this time that he's been in Aquarius has been very interesting to just notice. It's a very subtle planet: death, rebirth, transformation, ancestral trauma, healing, right? Lots of intensity, passion, like deep possessiveness. That there's lots of things that are very intense. Mental wellness kind of sort of falls into this as well. So Pluto is bringing up a lot for the collective. And Pluto is going to go retrograde next week on the 1st of May, so Monday in essence. And that he's been sitting on the same degree. So he's technically stationary retrograde. Now, if you were listening to my Mercury retrograde story, you would understand stationary retrograde is intense, right? It's an added intensity. So we might start to see, especially this week, because he's already stationary retrograde, is that we'll see that intensification of like being there for the collective. So more movements to support people who have been through injustice, right? You might see more injustices being elevated. I know we're seeing a lot of gun violence lately, especially in the US, and really like innocent people being, not to say that it isn't always, but there's just I think it's being amplified with this Aquarius energy. So more humanitarian pursuits, one for all, fighting injustice is going to intensify in some way, and be interesting to notice, how this affects the Ukraine war as well, what's going on there too. So there's a lot of persecution as well in Russia for people that are trying to speak out and trying to kind of show what is truly happening, there. So we're starting to notice this like active collective coming together to protect each other, to really be a voice for what is good in the world. So you might see more of that on the news with this aspect. That's called mundane astrology. So just paying attention to these things, right? I'm always like, oh, that's interesting with this Mercury retrograde, that all this information is coming to light about these, accounts that have been compromised, things like that. So you just start to notice how the astrology is reflected in the news, and maybe you're paying more attention to these things, and they're like, oh, there's a, and does it happen when Mercury is direct too? It does too. So are there correlations? I think so. More so during a Mercury retrograde. I'm not sure. It really depends on what you're looking at and where you are in the world. So just kind of keep this in mind as an experiment for yourself to see what is true and what is not, right? And I truly put this forecast together to help you navigate the weather, which is the astrology that's affecting all of us, right? I almost sort of feel like it's this magic that we get to know is there, and everybody else in the world is like, oh, it's kind of a crappy day. Yeah, I'm feeling like crap. And I'm like, like I know, we're watching this, we're in the know. And I just wish like more people would know, because then they would be like, oh, I know why I'm feeling like this. And sometimes it's helpful, as you're moving through, like I was just moving through my Mars return and I was like, oh, this kind of sucks, right? I didn't feel this renewal of passion and purpose. If anything, I felt listless, right? Which is exactly makes sense, because it's now starting a new cycle. What am I passionate about? What do I want to champion? Where is this coming from? And sometimes it comes from the frictions of the squares and the oppositions. So when it's coming back to its original position, we call it, a conjunction. The cycle is starting again. So just noticing in your own life when these cycles are starting to come up. And that's why knowing your own chart is quite important, right? And that's why I want to teach it, so that you can understand your natal chart, so that when people are talking about things, or when you start to learn about transits, you go, oh, that's why I'm feeling this way. Or, oh, this full moon is hitting my first house, and man, my identity, I just feel like people are misunderstanding me left, right, and center. Isn't that interesting? What are you meant to learn from this? What is trying to be, eclipses is an evolution, and the first house is your identity. So it's really a very awesome tool to use. And that's why I champion astrology. And if you want to learn astrology from me, I actually just moved the date and have elongated the program, because I want it to be really integrated, whereas we're all doing it together, and you're looking at your chart, and then you see where Aries is in your chart, and you understand what that means for you in your segment of life, right? Because that's important. I want you to use these tools to help you live your best life. So if you're interested, you can hop into, if you're on Instagram, I have the waitlist link in there. You can hop into the waitlist and you'll be one of the first people to get notified. And I am going to give a special gift to the people on the waitlist for trusting me and coming into there. So if that's something you want to be a part of, and then I will bring it out to the public, a couple weeks later as well, allowing the waitlist people to come in first. So if that's something you want early access to and a special little bonus, that would be awesome. I'm going to start, the class will start in September. So I'm excited. I actually just put a date up to that out into the world. It is September. It is set in stone. My beautiful team is making all the changes now. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. And I do this for you. Really, I do, because I want to share this information with you so that you can use it to have a better life. And I hope it does. I hope it helps you to surf the waves of the energy that's coming in, in a more enlightened way. Like I said, we have this secret. We know about this energy that is in our universe. We live in an energetic universe. And so many people just don't know, almost kind of are asleep to that, right? And you're not, because you're here. So thank you for being here. I so appreciate you. Wishing you the most amazing week ahead. Enjoy these sextiles. It is good. It's a good week. Every week's a good week, right? It just depends on your point of view. Have a good one.